afternoon. It's Sunday, so you might know what that means. I got up early, had my awesome long run, hung out at the beach for a bit, and went to the grocery store. And I'm going to cook something. And I want to take you through, I'm going to show you every step on this soup stew that I'm going to make. Before I start, I just want to say, in case you're noticing this necklace, it was a gift from a friend who brought it back from Peru. And it is my all-time favorite necklace, second only to one that a little boy that I loved very much and helped raise made for me when he was very young. Anyway, so I like my necklace. I'm very happy to be wearing it. And the first thing about this stew is that I'm going to make it colorful. So I'm going to use butternut squash instead of carrot or sweet potato, because it is it's the lowest energy dense of those three, but all of these are better for you than a white potato the way I understand it. So I'm going to use butternut squash. It will make it a little bit thick. I'm going to use a little bit of red and green pepper and some onion. The other stuff is just from my shopping. And this is going to give it lots of different color. I'm also going to use these white beans that have been sitting in this water overnight. And I should have told you what brand, whatever, I'll tell you when I turn the camera back on. And I'm also going to use these tofu shiritaki noodles, and I'm going to show you exactly how you rinse them and then boil them before you put them in the soup. I only want to use half of this bag, and the only way I can figure it out is that I'm going to have to weigh them after I rinse them and cut them, and take half of them. This is the most low-calorie noodle type thing anywhere ever that I have found. This whole package has 40 calories, which is, you know, like a couple strands of spaghetti. And I'm going to put it in vegetable broth. And even though these beans are high in protein, I'm also going to add the Boca crumbles, or you can use Morningstar crumbles. I think the last time I made a stew, I used corn, Q-U-O-R-N. This time I'm going to use the soy crumbles. And this is a pretty good flavor. You know, I think bay leaf. Wasn't sure I was going to say basil or bay leaf, but I think I'll add a bay leaf when it's simmering. But that's a long time from now. What I need to do now is hard boil these white beans. So I'm going to rinse them from the water they sat in overnight. I'm going to halfway fill this pan with water and the beans. I'm going to hard boil. I'm going to say at least 30 minutes, but I'm going to try to keep track of it so I can tell you. I'm going to cook them thoroughly, and towards the end I'm going to add a bouillon cube, low sodium, vegetarian, because I'm not going to use all of these beans in the soup, I don't think, and that way they'll have a little bit of flavor for something else I put them in later in the week. So rinse the beans off. I have my strainer over here so I can rinse out those noodles too. Rinse out the beans. Wouldn't have hurt to turn the back burner on. You know what? That pan's actually for the soup. I'm going to use this one for the beans. So this is going to hard boil for quite some time. And then we'll move on to the next steps of cooking the soup stew. And don't forget, if you have pets, those little hairs off ya. Your friends will appreciate it, or your spouses or children, what have you. All right, I'll see you soon. Okay, I think I have everything ready to start again. So the butternut squash I've cut in half and used a spoon to scrape out the seeds that were in the middle. Now, I'm going to cut some of this off, do it right now, and we're going to use it raw and saute it with the onions and the peppers. But what you do with the rest of it is just sprinkle some cinnamon on it, just like this, put it in a baking dish or pan, and put it in the oven at about, the high 300s, and bake it till it's very soft. You can mush the skin, and then you just scrape it off the skin, and it's a great side dish. You can flavor it with cinnamon. You don't need any butter or sugar or anything like that. If anything, after it's all done cooking, spritz it with olive oil if you like, but I eat it just with cinnamon. And I did rinse off the outside before I cut into it, so if there were germs on it, I wouldn't have put them inside the flesh. So I have everything out except for the squash. So I would just cut into it like this, and I might do it off camera so I don't cut my hand off for all the world to see. But yes, that's what I'll do. I'll do that in just a second. So I'm going to cut off just a bit of it, maybe a quarter of a cup when it's all diced. Because I think I'm making soup for 2. And it's going to have, around 9 grams of protein per serving, which will be great. And lots of other nutrients will be in there. My white beans are still boiling. They've been at it for 30 minutes and they're not close to done. Timer's about to go off and they are going to end up needing more water. So I will show you these and then I'll do the squash. My tofu shiritaki noodles are made from soybeans and yam flour. And I've realized that you're not going to be able to see me at the sink. I'm just going to stink. I'm going to cut the bag open. Speaking of stinking, these have a real aroma, and that's part of the reason why they want you to rinse them out. But the directions say that you rinse them thoroughly, and then you parboil them for 2 or 3 minutes, and then you dry them very well. I'm not sure why you need to dry them very well, but I follow the directions and I dry them in the straining board with a paper towel. And this time I'm going to actually microwave them. I haven't done that before. It says you can boil them for 2 to 3 minutes, and then you strain them and dry them, and you put them into your recipe about 5 minutes before it's done. You can also use these noodles with spaghetti sauce. I think that if you eat the soup stew right away, the noodles will be great. As you know, I freeze my meals and take them to work later in the week, and the noodles do look a little shriveled up and maybe are a bit tough, but it doesn't bother me at all. But so you've been warned. So I'm going to dump this bag into